Hey there, it's Sydney with Tastefully Frugal, and I have a project that I'm really excited to share with you today. We are going to be customizing wine bags with both sublimation and infusible ink. So this is a really easy project. It's really easy to customize. If you have Diet Coke lovers in your friends and family like I do, you can do it for that. If you have other soda drinkers or wine drinkers, you can totally customize these projects for them. And I'll give you some suggestions to pair with the wine bags to make a really fun gift basket. So in this video, we're going to cover several things. One of the things we'll cover is which wine bags work with sublimation and infusible ink, which ones don't, what you want to look for when you're buying those wine bags. We'll also cover placement and the size of the designs and the decals that you're doing for your sublimation and infusible ink, as well as some tips and tricks for prepping your wine bags to make sure that you're getting the most vibrant colors. I have written up a full blog post that goes over all the steps that we're going to be going over in today's video, so if you want to bookmark that, I've included in the blog post as well as in the description of this video all the supplies we're using. And I've also included this, I like my Diet Cokes like I like my jokes, sublimation design for free. So you can get that in the blog post as well if you want to make these bags, or if you wanted to do this design on a shirt or a tote bag. There's a lot of different ways that you can use this design if you are a dirty Diet Coke drinker or if you have a dirty Diet Coke drinker in your family. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to talk about the wine bags that you can use for sublimation and infusible ink. This white bag here, this is the Cricut brand wine bag for infusible ink. This is the sublimation design that I did on it, and as you can see, it turned out bright and vibrant. So any of the Cricut brand blanks you can use with infusible ink, obviously, but you can also use them with sublimation. This brown bag is a smooth burlap wine bag. This is the one that I used with infusible ink, and I got this from 143 Vinyl. Right there on the website, when you're looking at the bags, you'll see that it shows that this is safe to use with sublimation. So any blank that says that it is sublimation safe or that you can use with sublimation, you can also use with infusible ink. If you're not buying from 143 Vinyl or Cricut, let's say you're shopping on Amazon, or if you're in the store and you want to know whether or not the wine bag that you're about to buy will work with sublimation and infusible ink, what you're going to want to look for is a high polyester count on the fabric, just like you would with your shirts, sweatshirts, things like that. 100% polyester is best, but you need at least 65% polyester just to make sure, A, that the colors will turn out vibrant, but not only that, if you don't have a high polyester count, when you wash your shirts or your wine bags or whatever you're using, the color will start to fade. So make sure that you are using a high polyester count. Next, let's go ahead and head into Design Space. I want to show you how to size your designs, and then we'll go ahead and start putting everything together. So let's head into Design Space.
All right, I actually got a little bit ahead of myself. First, let's go over all the supplies we need. First, we're going to need our wine bags, and then you want to use a measuring tape to measure how big you want your design on the wine bags. I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Next, we'll use heat-resistant tape to tape our design to the wine bag. You really only need this for the sublimation design. Here's our infusible ink design that we've cut. Then you'll need a piece of cardstock. You'll put this inside the wine bags to protect the wine bags with that design going through it to the other side. You can also use parchment paper. We'll put that over the design and the wine bag to protect our easy press from getting the blah or the infusible ink on there. And then if you are using an easy press, make sure you have an easy press mat to keep the heat into your wine bag. All right, let me show you what I mean about measuring your wine bag. As you can see, every wine bag is different. These two are completely different in size, so don't just go off the sizes that I have listed for these designs. Let's take a look at the Cricut wine bag. If I were laying the design flat, you can see from about 1 inch to about the 5-inch mark would be good. So it would have it about 4 inches wide would be a good size for the design. But once we put a bottle in the wine bag and then close it up, we'll remeasure. I'll show you here in just a second. And as you can see, that from that like 1 inch mark to the 5-inch mark would make it so that you can't really read the full design. So we're actually going to do it from about 2 inches to like 4.5 inches. So we'll make the design about 2.5 inches wide. That way you can read the full design when you're looking at it. So now we're in design space. Let's go ahead and add our designs to the canvas. We'll go ahead and upload. I've already uploaded the SVG here. You can click add to canvas. As I mentioned earlier, click the blog post link in the description of this video to get this, the ping design for Sublimation for free. And then we're going to change the design. I actually double checked the width, and we're going to do this one 3.5 inches wide, not 2.5 inches wide. And then it is a print then cut since it is Sublimation. So we're going to do print then cut. And then let's go ahead and make our Infusible Ink design as well, because I do want to show you a few things with Infusible Ink. So we're going to add our text part of the design first. So we're just adding Mom's Survival Kit, and we're going to align it centered so that the text is all centered. And then we're going to change the font. The font we're using for this is called Festive. I've linked it in the description of this video. You can get it from Design Bundles, but it's a really, really pretty script font. Now, you can't really tell here when the font's black, so I'm going to change the font to red, and then I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see. But if we left this as is, you can see up on like where the M and the O connect on Mom's, there's a line there. But if you click Weld, and my design space has been working a little bit slow, so it takes a minute, but you'll see that that line disappears and it's one smooth cut. So that is what you want to do when you are working with a script font. If you need to change the color to a different color to see if it's one smooth piece or if it's multiple colors, do that. I did go ahead and undo that weld because I do want to make the space in between the lines a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to line space up here in the toolbar and changing it. It's at 1 automatically, and I'm just changing it to like -7. So that looks about right there. And then I am going to change the color back to black because we are going to cut this out of black Infusible Ink. But I welded it, we changed it to black, and now let's go ahead and add the image of our soda can. So when you get to the images side, you'll just click the image button in Design Space on the left toolbar and click search soda. And there will be several designs to pull up again. I'm so sorry. My Design Space was working really slow when I made this video, so it's going to take us a minute to find the design. But I do want to show you a design, or give you an idea of what designs work and don't work with Infusible Ink. Because I did cut the soda can out twice. I had a design that I really liked, and I'll show you why it didn't work. Okay, so see this design right here? See all those little lines? Those just do not cut well with Infusible Ink. The paper tears and it doesn't work well. So this soda design here, I really like this can design, and we can go ahead and get rid of all the extra pieces with the contour tool. So let me show you how to do that. We'll go ahead and add this to the canvas. And then once it is added to the canvas, we will click Contour, which is in the bottom right toolbar. So right down here, the very far right option says Contour. And this will load everything. And then you can just either click the pieces like I'm doing here on the left, or you can go to the toolbar on the right-hand side to just get rid of all the pieces that you don't want. So we've got rid of all the pieces we don't want. We're going to size our design so it fits where we need it. We'll change the color to red, and then I'm just going to tilt it a bit so it's angled. And then I'm going to select both pieces now, and from there we are going to change the size. This is a smaller bag, so we're going to make this 3 inches wide. Once we have the design how we want it, we're going to zoom out so I can show you that we have both, and I'm going to double check to make sure we have both of our designs ready to go and be ready to print and cut. So click Make It up in the top right corner. And then since we're using the Maker 3, if you're using the Maker 3 or the Explorer 3, you're going to have the option to select if you're cutting on matte or without the matte. We're clicking on matte, and then for the 2 Infusible Ink designs, we want to mirror those designs. However, the Sublimation design we're not going to mirror. I'll show you why when we set up the printer preferences for Sublimation. So when you're printing a Sublimation design from Design Space, what you want to do first, make sure that you have your Sublimation printer selected, and then you'll want to turn the bleed off. You can see here, if the bleed's on, it makes it a little bit thicker, which will make the design look different when you print it. does not look good. And then make sure to always select use system dialog so that we can set our printer preferences for sublimation. So once we're in our printer preferences for sublimation, we'll want to make sure that you have your paper orientation set to portrait, and then choose your paper type as presentation paper matte, and your color to high color. Everything else on this first screen, you'll leave the same. Next, go to the second page, and we'll leave everything the same up top. Up top for our colors, we're going to go to custom and then click advanced. And what we're going to change on this screen, we're going to change this from the Epson Vivid to the Adobe RGB, and it should default to the 2.2 gamma. If not, make sure you do that 2.2 gamma, and that's all you need. Click OK. And then it will take us back to that previous screen. We are going to unselect high speed and select mirror image. Then once we have the image mirrored, we can go ahead and click OK, and then click print to print your design. Once your design is printed, we need to get rid of that black box that always prints around with print then cut. So I just cut it, and then I'm going to rip it here. Just be very careful when you're ripping it. The reason you want to do these rips is if you have any hard lines from like cutting or from the edge of the paper, it can leave lines when you're pressing it into your bag or whatever you're pressing on. So make sure you have these ripped edges so you don't have any sharp edges when you press it. Next, let's go ahead and weed our Infusible ink. If you've never weeded Infusible ink before, you want to use your fingers and not use a weeding tool with Infusible ink. The reason being is the weeding tools can press some of the ink into that backer, which can transfer onto your design. So use your fingers when you are weeding Infusible ink. And make sure, I always do a test cut. For whatever reason, my Maker 3 cuts Infusible ink better than my original Maker. So do a small test cut to see that it's printing on the right setting. You can always change it to more or less pressure. Also, if you have any of the white on left over after you've done weeding, like right here, like I have that L, that's totally okay. That will not transfer over to your design. But you do want to do it in one press. So we're going to put all of our pieces onto that Mom's Survival Kit backing. So what we're going to do is we'll cut the backing down as close as we can to that soda can, but we do want to leave it at the bottom. I'll show you why in just a second. And then just line it up on your the one backing for that Mom's Survival Kit. I like to have design space open so I can look at it to make sure I have everything lined up looking well. And then I'll flip it over, and you can see here that you still have the backing down at the bottom, so you're not going to have any of the Infusible ink be on your heat press when you're pressing it. Next, let's go ahead and we'll start preheating our Easy Press. We are going to do it for 400 and do it for 60 seconds. Now, the Easy Press heat settings on Cricut's website suggest 385. However, I've done enough sublimation and Infusible ink with the Easy Press that I know that it drops temperature about 10 seconds in, so I always do it for 400. Next, you'll want to lint roll your bags. If your lint roller has any debris on it like mine did, make sure to clean that off before you lint roll your bags. You want to make sure that those bags are nice and clean and there's no debris that can interfere with your designs. But once those are cleaned up, you'll just want to cut your piece of cardstock down to size. Again, we're putting this inside those wine bags to make sure that the design doesn't go all the way through the wine bag to the back of the bag. We only want it on the one side. So we'll go ahead and we'll put that piece of cardstock in the wine bags. And then once our Easy Press is up to temperature, go ahead and put your Easy Press mat down, and then you'll want to put another piece of cardstock just to be extra safe, to make sure it doesn't, you don't get any of the Infusible ink on your Easy Press mat. Then you'll preheat your wine bag for 15 seconds. As you can see here, we're doing it as it's preheating. That's not a problem at all. Just make sure that you do, if it's not at the full 400, that you preheat for 15 seconds. And then line your design up. You'll want to do that 15-second preheat, whether you're doing sublimation or Infusible ink. Do the same preheat every time. Once your design is lined up, you can double check. I always like to say measure twice, so you only have to cut or press once. And this is the only one of the smooth burlap bags I had, so I did not want to mess this one up. Once you have your design lined up, then you'll want to go ahead and cut a piece of parchment paper, and it doesn't have to be pretty. As you can see here, mine got pretty mangled, but you'll just put that piece of parchment paper down over your infusible ink, and then use a Teflon sheet, and then you can go ahead and put your easy press down. Whether you're using an easy press or a heat press, make sure that the seam of the bag is not on your heat plate. So if you're using a heat press, put that on the outside, and you'll want to press this like the bag upside down. But I'll show you here in just a second that temperature drops from 400 to 385, almost always at the like 49 or like the 10 or 11 second mark. So that's why I always set it to 400, even though it says 385 on the on the Cricut Easy Press guide. 385 is the temperature between 385 and 90. 390 is what it is for the majority of the press. So we have pressed it, and then this is a warm peel, so you can go ahead and peel the backer away right after you press it. If you have nail polish on, just make sure, because it is really hot, it can melt your nail polish onto your bag or your coaster, things like that. So just be careful when you are using sublimation and infusible ink, if you have painted nails, that you don't have any of that nail color transfer to your finished project. But I really love how this bag turned out. This burlap fabric is really cool. You can see that it didn't transfer to the back, which is great. But this burlap fabric almost makes the design look like it's embroidered in there, which is really, really neat. I love the look of this bag and this design. Let's go ahead and do our sublimation design next. Basically the same process as we did with infusible ink. The only difference is we're going to tape our design down, but we're going to line it up. We're going to use our measuring tape. Again, the measuring tape that I'm using is the one that came with the Cricut sewing kit, but really you can use any measuring tape, or you can even use a ruler if you don't have a measuring tape. But go ahead and just measure your design to make sure it's centered in the bag, and then use heat resistant tape. I use the Cricut brand, which I've linked in the description of this video, but if you have another brand you like, you can totally use that too. The only thing I recommend, because it is heat resistant, it's in the name, try to keep the tape away from the design, because it can cause the edges, if it's covering the design, to be a little blurry. But again, be aware of those seams when you put down your parchment paper and the Teflon sheet, and then go ahead and press again at 400 for the full 60 seconds. You'll see here that the temperature actually drops a little bit lower on this one. So I did press it a little bit longer, like 3 seconds longer, just to make sure that we did get the full heat and time that we needed. And then again, just be careful when you are peeling away the heat resistant tape. It is hot, and you don't want to burn yourself or get any nail polish debris if you're wearing that on your bag. But this turned out really cool. I love how precise the design is. You can even see the little squigglies that are on those plaid and leopard, the buffalo plaid and leopard letters. You can see them in the design. This design turned out really, really neat. I liked it. Let's go ahead and let me show you what I would put in a Dirty Diet Coke gift basket. So the first thing you're going to need is Diet Coke, and then you'll want to do your coconut syrup. Then we have some heavy whipping cream and limes, and then of course the bags and a basket to put everything in. Everything you can need to get these, you can get from your grocery store. The Torani syrup, you can get at most grocery stores if you're looking for the coconut flavor. They even sell it at Costco, the same size bottles. So if you're looking for that, you can check that out there. If you're in Utah, Orsagigi also sells a bunch of them, and Zucker's does as well. So start when you're putting your gift basket together with putting the largest item in first. So I put in the Diet Coke bottles, and then I squeezed the limes into the back where we had a little bit of extra room. Then we'll go ahead and put our syrup bottle in our bag and close the bag up. We want this to be front and center, so we'll put this at the front of our basket. Then we'll put the rest of the limes in. You can definitely use lime juice, bottled lime juice if you want. I just think that fresh lime juice tastes better. And then last but not least, you'll put in your heavy whipping cream. And there you have your gift basket. This was so fun to put together. And now I'm thinking of what I can do to make a bag for myself for my Mountain Dew addiction.
If you have a friend in your life that likes Diet Coke, this would make the perfect Christmas gift, birthday gift, or just pick-me-up gift for them. Just make your bag, grab a bottle of Tirani syrup, some Diet Coke, their favorite mix-ins, put it in a basket or a bag, and you are good to go. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope the tips that I shared with you will help you recreate this project for yourself or for your friends. As I mentioned earlier, the sublimation design is totally free. The link to this to download it is in my blog. I've linked that in the description of the video, as well as all of the supplies that we're using. I've also included a link to my Amazon shop that has just for sublimation blanks. So if you're looking for other ideas where you can use this design on what other blanks you can, there's a bunch of them there that I've tried with sublimation, so I know that they work. But if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I would love to have you subscribe to Tastefully Frugal for more Cricut tips, tricks, and tutorials with a little bit of sublimation in there. Have a great day.